Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Gibson. I hope you're doing well. We're having some technical difficulties tonight with Montez coming in, but he should be here shortly. In the meantime, we're going to talk about just a little bit more about norm therapy here for about a minute. Then I think he's in the waiting room, hopefully here, and I'll let him in. Norm therapy is our revolutionary interviewing service and process that we provide victims of abuse and survivors of abuse worldwide. We help them to overcome the abuses and learn to deal with them, as well as respond to narcissists, bullies, bad bosses, and the like. We'll talk more about that as time ensues. Let's get in with Montez. I'm going to let him in. I think he's coming in now. So how's everyone out there? Hope well. You gave some pretty decent commentary last time. You were very instrumental in providing a lot of, hey, Montez, how are you today? Good to see you. Catching you for the first time live today. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I am on, and it seems that I have volume, so I think it's your volume. Yeah, you may need to work on your volume there, because I'm not hearing anything. Kelly, can you hear me okay? Yeah, it's yours. You have to connect to the audio. Oh, there it goes.
Ah, man.
Well, there you go. There you go. Always better late than never.
Yeah, but man, hold on. I'm still trying to adjust everything. I had to do it on the phone because our Wi-Fi dropped out and we had to argue with Spectrum. Lord Jesus, I can't even get this right. Yeah, we had to argue with Spectrum and about that.
Well, that's that, everyone I've ever spoken to about Spectrum, they've always used the same term. Got to argue with Spectrum. Got to
Can you
argue with
can you
Spectrum.
see me?
I
Can
see you're kind of dim lit, but I think we can make out your silhouette. You need to put some frontal cameras on. Maybe, yeah.
no.
Yeah, it's the light should be in front of you, not behind you.
Yeah, I got one in front of me too. Hold on.
Yeah, the one in front of you. Okay. Well, these are the technical difficulties that we all experience from time to time. Ah, that's it right there. Now, okay, that's it. Give it a
Bobby
back.
did that.
But smart people do smart things, so we leave it
Damn,
there.
that's perfect.
It truly is. You look like a
Yeah,
human. I was like, what's going on back there? Yeah,
yeah, that looked good.
look like one of those, what do you call it, Spectrum. You were arguing with Spectrum.
Yes,
How
especially
bad was that? How did that go?
well, we got phones a year ago that was supposed to have been paid up for a year if we bought the phone, and we didn't wasn't supposed to have a bill. Never got the phone. It got lost in Texas, and they still was charging us, and so they owe like $400. And so we get on the phone. We already ruffled up because you owe, and you keep sending your representatives to this door talking about more lines. And so we called them, and I was, I was trying to take the neat road. Bobby wanted to be rough, and I said, "Here, take the phone. I'm going in there." And I gave her the phone, and she was rough at first. Then she calmed down because I guess that the roughness got to the big dog, and the big dog tried to help us out. We just not connected, reconnected the internet, and so everything should be good now. But it was so frustrating, man, because I just came home from work. For one, I'm really tired. I've been up all mornings, at least to
Mhm.
get 4 o'clock. Um, I had a great day all day today, man, and then I walked in that door.
Well, that happens from time to time. You see what we were trying to allude to the last session we were in. I was just trying to tell you, I'm glad you feel great, but some days you're gonna walk in, you're gonna be just like this. And it seemed like you and Bobby did something that I actually like.
What?
Worked as a team.
We wasn't a team about 10 minutes ago.
That's okay. But you're sitting here right now, the internet is on, and she's taking care of business while you're taking care of business as well. That's still teamwork, even if it starts out rough, it's still teamwork. And it can still make you go back to those moments just before you put your key in the lock.
Yeah.
Because you resolved something together, bad or good. Sometimes people respond to you or react to you in an inappropriate manner where they have no base, no substance whatsoever to do because they think they're reading you, or maybe you think you're reading them, and you may be very well incorrect. But that's what
Yeah.
happens time to time. But but it was good though. It's absolutely a good thing that you are now seemingly in a calm mood. Not that it
Yeah.
fixed anything. Not that it fixed anything. Just that you're a calmer human being right now. Am I correct?
I mean, it was more than that, man. I'm really kind of boiling. I really am. Not 20 minutes ago, I punched the dang on door. Did nothing
Anger.
come? Did nothing come behind it? When no hollering, yelling, not even disrespectfully, but I punched the door. I'm talking about my broke hand, the hand that I broke, and
Well, let me ask you
it
a question about punching the door. Was anybody around when you punched the door?
yeah, Bobby.
Was she near the door when you punched it?
No, she was sitting on the bed,
Oh, but you
but
punched the door.
I punched the door.
Okay. There are two things right with that and two things wrong with that.
I know.
Okay. What's okay? Tell me what's right with it. What's right with what you?
Well, was I don't think any only thing right about it is that I didn't touch nobody else and I didn't say anything disrespectful this time. There was no bitches, no whores, no punks, no fat, nothing.
No, no, and I understand that, and I want to be on that
And
shit
that was
music
right.
with you.
That's one of my rights.
That's your rights, but that's not one of my rights.
Okay, can you tell me your
Okay,
rights?
just because you doesn't it doesn't just because you don't call somebody a bitch or this, that, or the other, and your fit of anger doesn't make it okay whether you do or not. It doesn't matter. You don't need to do that. Hitting the door means you displaced your aggression somewhere else. You just took it from wanting to hit somebody, which you probably would not do, to hitting the door. That's good, but it's still violent. And while
Mhm.
you're in her presence, that could be construed as violence or an act of aggression or some type of trigger for her to fear for her safety. Right? Right? Okay.
Yeah, but what I'm having a hard time, man. What about when I'm in fear of my safety? Why is it? It's not like and
Because
I
you can do something she can't really do. You can
who
punch that door with your left hand. I mean, no, not left hand, but your broke hand and still make an impact.
I watched her push 600 pounds on her legs.
And that's okay. But that's not pushing it against you or fighting with you. My objective here is not to make you right or wrong, but I need for you to
Yeah.
see the circumstance and see what's involved in it. You get to make the decision how you respond and how you react to whatever circumstance you're in. Oftentimes, when we react to something, we're wrong, and you were reacting. You had so much anger in you that you punched the door with your broke hand. That means that was an uncontrollable rage, because if it were controlled, if it were controllable, you would have never done it, right? That's called control. Had you been able to control it and not do it, then you would have never done it. So
It's
it's
always
got
a
to,
reason.
men should not put their hands on women, period.
I, and I didn't, but
No, I know you didn't. That's not my point, though. My point isn't that. I'm just trying to stop you from thinking that somehow it's okay to show violence in place of logic, in place of the calm that I'm seeing. Even the frustration in your face is good and better than hitting a door. Having that look right there on your face says it all. Trust me, you don't have to hit the door. You don't have to be upset. You don't have to let it carry you into a place you don't want to go
what
because you're
does it say,
stronger than
Michael?
that.
What does the look on my face say?
It
I'm
says,
a
I am frustrated, I am fed up, and I can't take it. So here's the thing, that's enough. As a matter of fact, it's too much because in a marriage, if you want to know, I'll tell you, But in a marriage, you don't have to be a punk, but you do have to realize that the other person, if you're the man in the relationship and you assume that role of leading the family and all the other traditional norms that go along with that, if you feel that that is correct, then you have to not only be a great leader, but you must also be a great follower in that family. And you have to follow whatever protocol and follow whatever discipline you need to follow. That's the same discipline you like. If she was pissed off because she was cooking dinner and it all burned, and she came downstairs and started screaming and hollering at you, how would that go?
It
Is that
wouldn't go
okay?
good.
Exactly. Could she do anything about spectrum?
It wasn't about spectrum.
Okay. I'm just trying to narrow down the list. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay. So if it wasn't about spectrum, if it wasn't about, before you walked in that door, that minute, the 1 second before you put the key in the door, what was it about that was so alarming that you had to punch the wall?
Well, first of all, it wasn't the exact thing that was alarming. It was the actions that came behind it. She told me that she got a phone call from her daughter, and they
Mhm.
needed somewhere to go. The circumstances that we are all beneath right now, we can't have no extra mess here because we're trying to do things and we ain't got time for jail and things of that nature, which I understand. But I proceed to say that I've been in those shoes and I know what it feel like. That don't mean I did not have your back though.
You
But
just in that moment.
I never got a chance to get it out. I never could, because soon as I said those two words, I'm over. It get loud, and I am over talked all the way out. I can't talk. I can't get one person on this earth to listen to even try to. You got to, in order to understand Montez, you got to listen.
Well, then I'm listening right now. So this
Right.
happened to you, and I know I want to
Yeah.
put it in context because I understand. Sometimes people feel threatened by feeling they can't say something, so they overtalk you. They think their voice. I know, even though you probably haven't said two words, even just like I'm doing you now, I'm talking over you because I want you to get my point. I'm not trying to do it to insult you or hurt you, but I know what you mean. Matter of fact, I know exactly what you mean. When you open your mouth to speak to show your disdain or your dislike or your I don't really understand, help me to understand look, or when you say to your partner, your mate, your wife, you say, this will bring us problems because they're already predisposed to do it. You'll say, this will bring us problems. And here's what I mean by that. And then all of a sudden, your words cannot be heard because they're already emotionally, physically, mentally, and decision making wise ready to go in the other direction. This is very normal in just about every relationship on the planet. It's how we respond in these moments. And what did Montez do? That kind of thing. You're trying not to go back to jail, and perhaps this particular circumstance could cause you to be in jeopardy of that, or put that in jeopardy somehow, some kind of way, your freedom or your the law-abiding nature these days to stay well and stay on path. Could that bringing them into the home provide you that kind of insecurity in your home?
Yes, yeah, yes, it could. But see, this is the thing. She would have known that. The world would have known that had I had a chance to speak.
Right.
And I'm and my approach wasn't to be. I wasn't mean or disrespectful or loud, but I got an opinion. I'm gonna say it, and I was trying to do that. But do you know how frustrated, man? Look, people been shutting me up all my life.
I understand.
Okay, and so
You're
it
not
bothers
wrong for
me.
that. You're not wrong. Nothing wrong
I
about
said,
your response, brother.
I told her, I said, we supposed to be trying to work things and communicate. And I said, this is why we can't communicate. And that's exactly what I said. I didn't cuss and scream and do none of that. But man, I was so fucking, excuse my language.
Okay, this is real life. Go ahead.
I was so mad. I was mad, man, because man, see, the thing is, you can't, I'm a king, man. Okay. For better or for worse. I don't care if I'm on the curb, Jack. I'm still him. And that's
Mm.
how I got to think in life in order to get somewhere. Okay. And so Don't tell me that I'm this, but I'm treated like that, or I'm that. Don't do that to me, because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. All I ask you to do is listen. You can't listen. You then don't what right do you have to ask me if anything then? I'm not saying nothing wrong, and I'm not gonna side with nobody over you. But you won't give me a chance to even say that. There
He's gonna
is a such
you.
thing.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Listen, you blow it off, man. Get it off your system. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with feeling bad about that. It's how you demonstrate to the world you're feeling bad about it that can cause you problems. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Number one, it's okay to feel bad that you're in disagreement. It's okay that somebody disrespect you and you want to say to them, don't disrespect me. And it's okay to say, I'm the king. But in the same breath, you must also determine and make clear that she's the queen. So there's a certain way the king and queen talk and deal with one another. But that everything you're saying is absolutely normal. There's nothing abnormal about what you're saying. Likewise, there's not much abnormal about what she's saying either. It's how you guys are responding and talking to one another that's causing the conflict. The what of it isn't it. I'm pretty sure that with logic, and Bobby's a logical person. You're a logical person, but you both get angry at 0 to 60. So take the anger out for 60 seconds. You ever hear about the monkey and the lion proverb?
No.
Okay, it's an old proverb, predates the Bible. And it goes pretty much like this. I'll paraphrase.
Yeah.
The monkey's running around telling everybody in the jungle that from now on, it's going to rain acid and poop, regular shit, poop from the sky. And that's how they're going to fertilize the jungles. And that's how they're going to, make everything happen in the jungles from now on. And a young lion, not the king, but one of the princes, said to the monkey, that's not true. Stop spreading that rumor. And the monkey, no, it is true. It is true. And so he kept on antagonizing the young lion. And the young lion and the monkey had to go before before the king to settle this. So the monkey gets in there. He starts telling the story about the poop and the pee and the nastiness and all of that. And the king just looked at him without expression. And then the king turned to his young cub, his young lion. And he said, hey, how do you proceed with this? What do you say? He says, well, the monkey's wrong. And And so the king stepped back. He says, okay, here's my decision. Monkey, you leave here. Young cub, I'm going to give you 2 years of silence, and you're going to be penalized. That's my final judgment. The monkey walks out all proud and happy, and the young lion is sitting there looking at his king, his father. And he's saying, why have you, father, if I may ask, why have you abandoned me and banished me to silence and proved me to be an idiot in front of this low person in our society who's just making ridiculous things up? Do you believe the monkey? And his father said, of course I do not believe the monkey. Well, I gave you the penance because you were stupid enough to bring this stupidity before me. You have to have better judgment than bring this before me. That is why I'm penalizing you. So later, as you'll one day be the king, you will not have this kind of frivolous crap come to my table or yours. The lesson isn't the monkey and the poop and the pee and all of that. The lesson is logic and patience and weighted value and the ability to let the small stuff go. Don't sweat the small stuff. Let it go that the monkey's an idiot. Don't bring something like that before the king. You're the king. You don't want issues to come before you that can otherwise be decided and handled before they even get to you, because everybody knows how your kingdom runs. Everybody's clear that you're logical. Everybody knows what you will support and what you won't support. But if you argue those points with everybody, nobody will ever know. But if you simply just help as a group, as a collective group, develop your standards your traditions, your mores, your culture in the house. When you sit down with your wife and you establish that, some people, they want so much out of you sometimes, you just can't give it to them. And what I would have done if I were you, I would have completely just said, well, you know where I stand on that. Just as calm as I want, just as calm as I could be. And because she knows where you stand on that, I'm certain. You know where I stand on that. And you don't have to use the word as your king. Although if that's the way y'all talk to each other, knock yourself out, because that sounds pretty strong. But if you say, as your king and you're my queen, we have already decided how we're going to operate under this roof and how we're going to deal with these kind of matters. So I have to leave it there right now. Let me get ready for Spectrum. Let me get ready for my live broadcast. Let me do something else other than deal with that right now. But I already want us to be on the right path. We can't be on the right path if we keep inviting into our environment the wrong path.
Yeah.
Does that make better sense than beating on the wall?
It makes sense, but it just probably blows my mind. Like, you ain't got to do that. Just, you want me to be a certain way, you got to be the same thing.
Yeah, but you've only got 10 sessions. She only has like 30 sessions and all together with all the training. So she's got, this is new. If the doctor tells you, okay, you broke your wrist, we're going to take the cast off today, but you can't go around lifting 400-pound, suitcases because it ain't ready yet. It's still broken. It's not broken. It's still frail. It's still new. It's got to get stronger and it's got to get better and it's got to be, you have to be more capable to pick heavy things up in the future. So go to therapy, do all of these other exercises and things so your arm gets better. He didn't say hit the wall with it though. He didn't say that, but you did. But what I'm trying to say, life is the same way. Life is exactly the same way. You guys had a broken situation for years going back and forth with each other. Whether it was good or bad, high times and low times, it was still broken because you weren't treating each other the way you're treating each other now. So all of what you're doing right now is new, is brand new. What would she have done before 4 years ago? She would have just invited them in. They would have just been there when you got there, wouldn't they?
I mean, and it wouldn't have been a problem.
No, but what I'm saying to you, if it were back in the day, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and they called to come, she would have just said, okay, come on over. And just we'll deal with it when you get here. Because your family, you're this or that, whatever the reason is. But she didn't do that this time. She stopped and she brought it up to you. That's different. It may not be what you want to hear or like, but it's different than just doing it anyway without your participation. I'm not trying to prove it wrong.
Yeah, it was no point in bringing it up to me if you wasn't going to listen to nothing I was going to say.
Then you're canceling. Well, you're right. I'll talk to Bobby about that. And I think you just did a great job on it right now, as well as before. Even if it's rough around the edges, it's going to take time for you to be able to say, hey, Bobby, let's just stop talking. This is not doing either of us any good. Oh, please stop talking and listen. It's your turn. I'll listen to you intently. But when it's my turn to speak, do the same. Or don't talk. We have nothing to talk about if we can't be cordial to one. I think those need to be clear ground rules for communication, or just walk away, walk out the house, forget this session, just say, I got to go because my marriage means much more than me, than Michael and norm therapy and everything else. But you taking an action to walk away, extricate yourself, remove yourself from the rhetoric, the yapping and all of that, not letting you speak and talking over you as you would consider it. Anybody would in an argumentative phase. Best thing to do is walk away. And then there's no longer any yapping. And the next time you talk, you're having a conversation and you're exchanging ideas. I know it sounds kind of leave it to beaver, but it works. It works. And people out there who don't know what Leave It to Beaver is, a television show of how everything works well in a family and the good logic and wisdom and all of that. And it had its grounds for many decades in the United States. People are grounded in that, especially the older generation. Newer generation, they don't have really that nuclear family anymore as the role model. Is more of a technical family these days. And it's more of an economic-based family based on not economics of the job, but entrepreneurialism. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Very good. I'm saying all that to say is how you respond will dictate everything. If you respond negatively, the conversation will be negative. If you respond overpoweringly, it will be an overpowered conversation. If you respond in a way that invites a person to believe that their words will be heard, but not right now, because you have other things of priority to deal with, which I'm thinking you did. You said 10 minutes ago, it wasn't quiet here. It was something else. So I was cutting close to this interview, and I understand. Sometimes people want their issues to be more important to you than your issues are to you.
I just had a point. I just had a point to make. Like, man, I'm a man. Don't just shut me down. That's all I'm saying.
That's
Don't
okay.
just shut me down.
You're a grown man. You're right. You should never be shut down, but you should know how to shut you down. You
I
should shut
I,
you down.
I did.
You're
I
good.
did. I hit the door and I walked out the room, walked away somewhere.
How much better would that been? No hitting door. Just okay. I got you now. We're gonna talk later. I got other stuff to do, but let's talk. Let's bring this back up in about a couple hours when we're done, and we can sit down and calmly go over it. And all of that energy you put in the popping that door could have been just released in your horatory command, your let's, your we, your us comment, your reply. You
It
could have
don't
been
feel as
released
good.
with that. Say again?
It don't feel as good.
It shouldn't feel good or bad. It's just what's normal and what's necessary.
It
What's
feel
necessary
good.
to well, you don't need to feel good, because some things people are going to say to you, you won't like. But the moment you respond to them in any kind of way that's out of control, they win. They've just pushed your button and pushed you over the edge. They win every time. Not that that's what Bobby was doing, but anyone who says something to you, and unless they violate your persona or your space, you have no reason to get upset with them. Hey, you crazy ass man. That means nothing. People call me that right to my face. I care less. Just don't step in my space and don't come towards me, and we're done. People try to provoke you into doing things sometimes because they don't know what else to do. I don't think that's Bobby's motive. I think she has a way of arguing and you have a way of arguing, and I think they're both incompatible. The way you guys argue is incompatible because no one wants to hear the other one speak. That is the problem. And so you're trying to argue something. Remember, in an argument, name one argument you've ever had in your life, Montez. Name one argument that you've ever won.
Ain't nobody win no argument.
We got that now. So we understand that. What
Yeah.
argument did we win? None. But what confrontation did we come to a compromise? What confronted us that we both decided would be a better way to move that way or this way or handle it up or down? You have to confront issues without removing the voice of the other person.
Yeah.
You can't remove their voice, but you can't let them say things to you that has nothing to do with the reality of the conversation either. Because oftentimes, in my experience with people wanting to argue, is that they'll bring up all kinds of stuff to substantiate why they're being pissed or why they're doing other things, instead of the issue that's actually on the table. That really means normally that they don't believe it just as much as they're saying it, or just as much as you don't believe it. They're just arguing to be arguing just to have more to say and more hurtful things to do and say than you do.
Yeah.
That's all it is. An argument can be really, really taken apart. All it is someone else's emotions taking control of them and not their logic. Or even if they're using logic, because some people can justify logically in their brain why they're angry, or why they're mad at a person, or why they want to hurt them, or why they want to hurt the circumstance, or why they don't want to listen. They will logically put those thoughts in their mind. And you have to be aware of those too, because some people are very smart at being an ass, and they'll try to make it seem like it's your fault. So be careful of that too. If you set ground rules for your household, that we won't go there with each other. We will not call each other out of each other's name. When one person speaks, the other person will listen. And then when that's that person's turn to speak, they will listen. And we will come to some type of détente. You do a lot of historical reading. You have to have a détente in French, mean a pause. Come on, pause. So you have to have some type of a détente. And like they did in World War II, they wanted to have a détente, for the policy of war, and get down and have the different treaties brought up and dealt with. And I'm saying all that to say to you, you and Bobby needs to learn how to just stop talking. And it should be you, the king, to say to your wife, not shut up because I don't want to hear it and you're not listening to me and blah, blah, blah. But let's just stop talking for a minute, time out. Let's collect ourselves. Let's collect ourselves.
If that's gonna work.
Oh, absolutely. Grown people listen to grown stuff.
That's a hard woman.
It's okay. It's okay. But you, as a king, you have to be harder. So
and then I get in trouble.
no, that's because you get mad. Don't get mad. And don't even try to get even. Don't try to get your lick in. No, don't get mad. Don't get even. Just be emphatically clear. If you're emphatically clear, there's no room for ambiguity or any type of confusion. But you can't come off of your own standard and jump into another one at will. You have to be able to maintain your standard all the time, 24 hours, 7 days. Montez is laying in the bed, sleeping his butt off, and so Montez, wake up, wake up. I have a problem with this and that and that. When you wake up, you got to wake up like, okay, put your logic cap on. You're being violently shaken while you're sleeping to get up to have a conversation about something that you don't want to talk about. So you got to put on in that moment that logic cap and say, there must be a reason why she's shaking me in the middle of the night. There must also be a standard of how we need to conduct ourselves with one another under these circumstances or any other circumstance. All the time, I have to be on my game as king. I know you may be listening to me, and I know you may think that what I'm saying is right, and it may not apply to you today, but I guarantee you it will at some point because you're going to get tired. So is she. When you get nothing out of a circumstance, and every time it goes a certain way, you get nothing out of it. No fulfillment, no reconciliation, no decision-making, no value in those processes you go through all that arguing for, you get sick of it.
I'm tired of it now. I'll run.
I know, bro. I know.
Man, I just worked all day. Like I've been busting my ass all week long. Like I don't want to all this little tiny stuff. I don't want to go through it.
You have to until you get it right, until she gets it right. Hold on a second. This is called practice. Remember the wrist analogy we just did with your broken arm? Is you're out of the cast. Both of y'all relationship is out of the cast, but it's still delicate. It's still sensitive to pain. It's still sensitive to the old way you treated your wrist, and that's why you broke it in the first place. It's still sensitive to that. It's okay to not be right sometimes. It's okay for someone not to listen to you sometimes, because that's human nature. But it's not okay to instigate and to proliferate and make worse your circumstance. That's not okay. Just by you, the king, instead of listening to the monkey stupid crap, not that your wife is a monkey, that's not what I'm saying, but the parable is about when a lesser conversation, what she was talking about, to you was lesser in your eyes. It was something that you didn't really want to deal with, and your decision-making process in your head, mind, and heart has already been made up. She didn't see that. That's not her fault because she didn't see it, because all of this is new. All of this is new. How you guys are treating each other and communicating, or trying to communicate on your normal basis or regular basis. That's okay. But you still got to know. When somebody bothers me, or what we call a vexation, when someone's a vexation, you know what I do? Phone, I hang up. In person, I walk out the door. I won't even listen to it. I'll say, okay, I'll say to someone, stop talking. Let it go. It's not even worth it. Just let it go. And when they don't, I'm done. Literally, that's how I do it. I'm done. And when it comes back to a conversation later, they know for a fact I'm not going to listen to anything ridiculous. I'm only going to deal with things that grown people deal with. And that's it. We're going to talk about it. It's going to be logical, and that's going to be the end of that conversation. Because everything else you do is childish and a waste of time. You standing there arguing with somebody is childish. It's like when a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old knock over a bowl of cereal. How can you be mad at a 6-year-old for knocking over the bowl of cereal? Or a 10-year-old? That's what kids do. They knock over cereal. They break windows. They break their toys. They're kids. You start, I didn't, why did you do that to them? I didn't do that. And when you start arguing with a 6-year-old, it brings you down to the 6-year-old level. Never argue with a child or somebody who can't articulate an argument. Bobby's a good person. She's strong. She's gone through a lot this last week. She's under a lot of pressure. The woes of her life didn't just go away. She's still in a different circumstance she was just in a week ago, but she's still dealing with all of other stuff that went along with your life and her life together. And you seem like you're anxious to want to say something, and I'm anxious to hear it. I'm not trying to.
No. I'm not. Trust me. I'm a sponge. I just
Good. Because you're stronger than
I'm
this,
good.
Montez. You're much stronger. And I told you the last time, I said, I'm glad you came in the house feeling this good. You had your chili, I can remember cracking your oyster crackers, and you were ready to, and the environment was set, and it was all good. But that's real life. Real life is some days are good and some days are bad. It's how you respond to those days that matter. The bad days, I mean, if you knew my day right now, I have a sore throat so badly that I'm actually whisper talking to you. When it was almost decided that you wouldn't be here because of technical difficulties or this, that, and the other, I was rather relieved. I was like, okay, I don't want to stretch my voice out that much. But I found a voice. I'm like, like right now, my throat is on fire. So let me do this while I'm doing it. Get some water in there. It's on fire. But you have principles. You have commitments. You have a certain way you need to respond. My certain way to respond tonight is to this broadcast. It's important. You are important. The subject matter is important. Everyday life for you is something you don't know, bro. You have lived the king in the cage life. Everything is not normal to you until you make it normal. No one can make anything normal for you unless they're conditioning you and hurting you. The only way you can make things normal for yourself is to decide for it to be normal. And it has to be not only normal for you, but also beneficial and normal to the people around you, both beneficial and normal to them. And the king is the one who sets that pace and that standard in the family. Now, excuse me, the wife, mom would say, the man is the head of the household, but the woman is the neck. And anyway she wants that head to turn, she'll make it turn.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much outlining teamwork.
Teamwork.
Yeah, bro. So even if it comes hard, it's teamwork. It's not about what you can tolerate. It's what you're willing to give and take, not tolerate.
Or is it control?
Well, you know what control feels like, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Will you have that?
Sometimes.
No. Will you allow someone to control you?
If I can't outside of platinum on my wrist, no.
Okay.
If you can't get me in some of these, then no, you ain't controlling me.
Well, that's a great answer. Matter of fact. Okay, let's say you're outside of the platinum on the wrist. So you're outside of that. Then you should never be controlled by someone else. A lot of times people have subtle manipulations and subtleties, and they'll say certain things that they know will trigger you, or they'll blame you for something that's not even happening. It's not even in the ballpark of happening, just to get you riled up to go to the next bad thing, because that's all they know. Don't let that happen to you. Until she realizes that there's a way to talk to you, she's going to keep talking to you the way she's always talked to you. But if you always respond the same, she will never get to the point where she recognizes a new way to talk to you. She'll never recognize it because you always cover it right up with what logic and your pragmatic self. You cover it right up with anger, and you let anger move you forward instead of, I'm not, just get up, walk out, hang up the phone, turn off the video, whatever you got to do, just don't be there in it. Let it go. Because the same circumstances you were talking about when you first got into this, tell me something. Is it still pending? You said somebody wanted to come over and be a part of your household and all of that.
Oh,
Is that still
no.
pending?
No, well, the thing about it is it was her daughter. Hell no, it ain't pending because she ain't gonna let it pin. If I had it my way, she would. She'd be right here,
Okay.
but she's not gonna. I mean, because it's certain. It's we had one daughter here already, and she wrecked some stuff, and it took us a minute to pull our house back together and our togetherness back together. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? And I understand where she coming from, which is why I'm gonna endorse anything you say, but you still gotta let me say what I'm gonna say first. You
Yeah.
don't get to say it like that. You gotta let me talk first, and then I'm gonna say I'm with you.
No,
That's
I
all.
think there's one thing you're doing that could be problematic. I think you're
What?
giving you permission to give you permission. You said, you got to let me say. No, hold on a second. No one should let you say anything. You should just say it. You don't have to, even just using in the third person, you got to let me say it. You got to let me tell you. By even use the word let me, allow me, give me.
Okay.
You're telling her back brain that it's her decision to let you talk. So don't do that. Don't preface what you're saying. Just talk and ask her to please be courteous and listen. Just talk. Don't say, you got to let me say, why are you talking over me? No, just stop the talking and go to the point. That's it. Men have tried for thousands of years to stop women from talking when they say, okay, this is not going anywhere. That's bad. Don't do this. And women just seem to find 50 other things to argue and talk about. That's been my experience. Every guy I know go through at least at some point in their life many times. Doesn't make women, it doesn't make them wrong. It just make them different. They're just different than we are. We can't live with them, can't live without them. So if you're going to be with them, try to do the best job you can. That's
I'm
all I
gonna
can
be
say.
with you.
Exactly. Can't live with them, you can't live without them. But
Yeah.
you got to understand that logic. You got to understand, from where does this come? And why is she speaking to me this way? And why is she trying to cancel me out when I speak? And why is she trying to talk over me? And forget all those questions. It's ridiculous to sit there and ponder why. You'll never know why. I know a whole lot about a lot of things, but women, I just don't know. I'm being honest, I don't know. But I do know how I deal with women. I do know what works for me. I do know what work with other guys. But women are totally that Venus and Mars thing is very true. Women are from Venus, men are from Mars. That's true. And I really think that if we ever went back and archaeologically found on Mars, we would see an old dead guy, from like a billion years ago, and we'll see an old dead girl on Venus. We just would, even though I think that's a gaseous cloud, but we would see that and just put it in perspective. And just two different species that came together and produced humans, I'm believing. Let's just say all that is true, which I really don't believe it, but it makes sense. But women
Yeah.
are definitely from Venus and men are from Mars. So it's not yours to try to figure her out. I don't think there's a man in history that's ever figured out a woman. I don't, not any kind of sex or whatever, gay or LGBTQ. I don't think any man on the planet has ever figured out a woman at all. You can mimic them, you can think like them and try to talk like them and become emotional like them, but you're not a woman. A woman has a whole nother species, whole nother species. I mean, from the XY chromosome to the XX or YY chromosome, uh, the whole nother species. And unless you have that and you were brought up cultured by that, you'll never understand it. So stop trying to understand it. Stop trying to get her permission to speak.
Dang.
That's what you're doing. When you say,
So
you don't let me speak. Why are you talking over me? When people talk over me, I just stop talking over me. I want you to hear my point. I don't need to scream, holler, hit the door, none of that. I ain't doing that. Just hang up. What? Walk away. I could care less after that. You can't listen to me and respect me. We have nothing to talk about. It's not important. And you have to make it not important. You can't walk away pissed off. You just go, okay, no problem, whatever you say. I'm out. I'm not dealing with this. People don't know how to deal with people walking away. Nobody wants to feel abandoned, but it's okay to abandon a fruitless conversation. It's okay to abandon it, but it just can't be fruitless in your eyes. It has to be fruitless in both of your eyes. She has to wake up one day and go, that's not the right way to treat my man. And she said that to you before. She has made that clear to you. So she knows better. You know that. And you have said there's no way to talk to my woman in the past. And beating on doors and getting all upset and angry. That's not right. You know that, but you did it anyway because it takes practice. Practice being respectful to one another. Practice being a good person. Practice letting the best of you come out and not being so defensive. And I guarantee you have a better conversation every time. And we can go into the mechanics of a good conversation on another session, which I'd love to talk about the different principles people should take into every conversation with them. If you take into the conversation that it's you that's more important than anything else, no matter what it is, if it's all about you, then the other person will not get anything out of it other than feel mandated to.
Yeah.
Or feel like they're being beat up or pushed aside or silenced. Don't make it about you. Whatever circumstance you find yourself in, whatever situation, whatever argument or confrontation you find, think about what do we both gain out of this and what do we both lose?
Yeah.
When you lose respect, everything is gone. Everything. How can you love somebody you don't respect? Or that don't respect you, more importantly? How? It's impossible unless you mixed up the how to develop that love. And yes, you did. You mixed it up. You had a love for her before you had a relationship. Relating is more important than anything else. And it's not just based on, let's just be friends for a while before we get romantic and all that. That's not what I'm talking about. It's about how you view that person and treat them as a result of how you see them. How you love them is different from how you relate to them. It should be separate, because if love was dependent on your relationship, then your relationship would be transactional. And if your relationship is transactional, then it's not love. Love is all by itself. Love is not transactional. So you can't make love be dependent on the transaction of how you treat one another.
If it was transactional, what you would call it?
I think it's I don't think it's love. I don't want to call it what I think I want to call it, because it may not be that, and I don't want you to get that seed in your head, because it may not be that either. It just may be a distorted version of love.
If what you got in my mind, if what you got called, if what you call love is transactional, I learned that work the other day. I was doing my schoolwork training and stuff, and I learned what quid pro quo harassment was.
You for this, me for that. You give me this, I give you that.
Man. So that's the relationship what you're talking about, right? Transactional, right?
Yes, but no. Yes and no. Because sometimes, and if you keep on reading that study book, just kind of look up some other stuff too. I'm going to share, and I'm trying to drop some knowledge on you. Just a little bit of knowledge. Okay. Sometimes it's not necessary for quid pro quo. Normally, quid pro quo is a negotiating term that people use in order to exact out of a person something for having been exacted from.
Right.
That's it. But sometimes they're going to come to you in the family, like the monkey and the young cub to the lion. And they're going to say something where you don't get anything out of it.
Yeah.
You don't get anything out of it. There is no quid pro quo if you get nothing back, especially if you're not expecting anything back. So when a person comes to you and they're trying to get something from you, first weigh and ask yourself this question: what do I get in this? Where do I benefit from this? Is it okay for me to benefit from this? That's the part most people don't ever ask them. Is it okay that I get something out of this? This should be just for her. This should be just for the kids or just for somebody. Maybe I shouldn't benefit in this. That's what kings do. They discern and they weigh and they use wisdom and guidance and all of that, because sometimes not everything is for you. Sometimes she wants something and she don't need you to get anything. Sometimes you want something and you don't want her to get anything, because those are your needs that you're trying to exact out of that circumstance or situation. I need to get, 12 new ties for my 12 new suits for my new job. That's what you need to get. What did she say to you? Well, if you're going to get 12 ties, I'm going to get 2 pairs of shoes. Is that right? Is there a necessity for that? Or is that quid pro quo? It's quid pro quo. You get something, so I get something. It shouldn't always be that way. Sometimes you should be able to get 12 ties because you got 12 suits and you need to go work and look different for 12 days. That should just be the end of it. It shouldn't be, yeah. So they're sitting back like, okay, so I need those new shoes. So next week, I'm going to say, I need 2 pairs of shoes. And the minute you say, well, we need to budget that, put that aside, because those are not, $20 ties. These are, $200, $300 pair of shoes. And the first thing she would say is, well, you got 12 ties. Is that fair to you? No, it isn't. Because it's rather surreptitious. If she really has a desire for 2 pair of shoes or 5 pair of shoes, it should not be hung against the fact that you got 12 ties.
Right.
It should just be, hey, babe, I need a couple pair of shoes. And you go, well, we can't afford it. And she's like, okay, when do you think we can afford it? And, well, let's get this past this and we'll work on that. I think that's okay. She should never come back and say, well, I gave you 12 ties or you did this. Not ever. There is no quid pro quo in that. Now, in a relationship, you will negotiate things. Like last night you watched your movie and I didn't watch my show. So now we're laying in bed together. And I want to watch my movie. I want to watch my show instead of you watching your movie. Now, that's a quid pro quo. That's something that you can tolerate, you can deal with, you can handle, and all of that. That is something. Who are you rolling your eyes at? So what's going on over there? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, good. I want to ask this question before we close out. We only got like 8 minutes left. Okay, they're asking this question. Is some of Montez's anger coming from the pressure of now being the breadwinner? Is this the new role? Not all about what he thought it would be? Paraphrase, is it what you really expected it to be a king?
And I love every moment of it. It doesn't for me, because I've always been a worker. I ain't never been lazy. I remember I chopped a tree. I cut a little tree down about that big around with some hedge trimmers. All that man had to say was some money. I climbed up there like I was in Marion, Indiana, and I cut that tree down. So the work ain't nothing. And I'm a giving person, so that ain't nothing. I'm gonna take care of things.
What about the anger? What about the anger?
The anger, because I don't sometimes I don't feel like I'm getting treated the way that I'm supposed to if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. That's the anger.
Being the king and being the breadwinner means, what the king normally does, just so you'll know. The king goes out in front of the family and fight all the battles. All of them. They're marred and scarred and aged and weathered from the fights.
Yeah, that's me.
Being out in front. Okay. So that's okay. But what people are looking also from the king and the queen is harmony. You both are looking for harmony within one another, but more importantly, the people around you. But they have to hear the arguing and the incessant complaining over one another and all of that. If they have to hear that, that affects them too. Anger has no place for discussion. When you're angry, normally it's not anger you feel when you're talking to another person.
But what's crazy is this: I'm the goofiest. I laugh, I crack jokes. I don't be sitting up here mad. It's just that I'm not taking no shit.
It's frustration, bro. Just like that. I ain't taking no shit. Okay, it's frustration. People normally find in others is disappointment or frustration.
Yeah.
And that is the fuel for your anger. Because you feel bad that I'm having this conversation with my wife. I thought we were past this. I thought we would never have this kind of conversation again. But until you have until you have a lot of practice doing it, it ain't gonna make any sense to you. When you do it over and over and you see that, oh, these are the results of not screaming and hollering. Oh, we can still sit down and have a great meal and have a great discussion, laugh and joke, be your jovial, nice and kind self. As a result, by not screaming, by not getting angry, by not hitting the wall, by not listening, by doing all of these kinds of things, we can avoid all of that. And it's not fake. I hate it when I see golly gee people running around going, well, I love you and I love you too. And everything is okay. And I'm sorry. And it's just a perfunctory measure that they take with one another, that they're just trying to be as goofy as they can with one another in order to make whatever that real problem seem not so difficult. I don't like that. I think they should really embrace the problem, not laugh and joke about it and be fake and put on facades with each other when they're discussing it. I think that's poor, very poor behavior. If they make it known to the other person just how sensitive it is, just how serious of a matter it is, Montez, and be clear about it, and then stop talking. Sometimes you got to stop talking too. Sometimes when you say something If you have to reinforce what you're saying, then you haven't said it well enough. You know, just stop talking. You say it. I'm the king. I'm the man. I agree with you. We're together in this, but we're going to handle this a different way. Just stop talking. When they go, whatever they say, it doesn't matter. You've spoken. You've been clear, emphatically clear.
But I ain't being honored.
Sure, you're being honest. What
You
about being
get,
clear isn't honest? What about being clear? What about clear isn't being honest? When you're clear, you're being emphatically honest.
no, honored.
Oh, honored. Yeah, you lose that in the translation every now and then. That's why you need what? Practice. You're trying
How
to
about
stop the anger.
solitude?
Well, okay, you need to be able to have your alone time and people step off you. Everybody needs that. But honor will never come until you practice it. You got to give something for somebody to honor. Will I honor you beating against the wall? No, I'll never honor that. I can't honor anything that come out of your mouth after you break our not cone of silence, but when you break our glass door that says, you know, only in emergencies break this glass. When you break that, it's an emergency, and now nothing means anything because everything's gonna get wet by the hose. So don't ever go for the break your glass kind of relationship. Never let it get to the point where you're breaking the glass to pull out the hose just to clean everything off and wet everything up and put out the fire everywhere. Never let it get there. Your anger is that match. It's that dry kindling. It's that tree you chopped down because there was some money and you're setting it on fire. That's it. That's your anger. Don't do that. Don't be angry because who's gonna beat you up? Somebody gonna beat you up over there?
No, I ain't gonna be nobody.
Hold on. No. Just jokingly, I'll ask. Somebody gonna beat you up, slap your face, spit in your eye, shoot you in the foot. Any of that stuff gonna happen?
No.
Then don't worry about it. Let it go. Let it go. Honor only comes from honorable situations. Honor only comes from honorable situations. It doesn't come from a screwed up situation unless you're an honorable person in that circumstance. We're going to run out of time here in a couple of minutes, but I want to say, you know, I want to have this conversation again next week or next couple of days because what I do know about you is that you are a smart guy, but you have knowledge all over the place. You have wisdom all over the place. You've come from so many varied backgrounds and situations of danger and difficulty and strife. And that wisdom oftentimes work in those circumstances because you're dealing with people who are like you. They jump off in 0 to 60 and they're ready to just, you know, go at it instead of sitting down. Oh, no. Hey, Montez, let's talk about it. You're right, bro. I was wrong. You're right. You know, every now and then with people you cared about, you could do that, but not with everybody, not coming from where you came. I know that for a fact. That doesn't exist. You know, but I do also know that you're much smarter than most people in this regard. But you got to practice it. You want honor. You want somebody to bestow honor upon you and your offices as king in the family and your responsibility. Then you have to be honorable for them to honor you. And in that integrity. But bro, this is why we're having this conversation in the first place. So if you've enjoyed this show tonight, I have to do this at right about now. I just want to say that our next session will be, I have no idea when it will be. This coming Sunday with Bobby. It's not in my notes. But I'll see you guys up. February 18th. Sorry about that. February 18th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Keeping these in check. These is kind of difficult because we're working in the same back office and sometimes they just overlap. I do apologize. And you know, we have a 501c3, a nonprofit, goarrow.org, the GOARO.org. You can actually go there and make a donation. If you see something you like that we're doing, make a donation. We have a GoFundMe project. You can find it on our website as well. We're always trying to raise money and keep things going until I can build out some other financial models for us that'll work better. And I'm working on that on the Norm Therapy for-profit side. We don't mix the two. Actually, Norm Therapy Inc. actually undergirds the nonprofit. It supports the nonprofit by providing the service, providing the training, providing everything the nonprofit needs to have in order to help victims of abuse and survivors around the world. Anyway, I just want to say you can always get with us at contact@normtherapy.com if you want to talk or schedule sessions or be involved. If you'd like to do a live stream with us as well, please make that evident in your reply to us, and we'll get back with you because we'll be scheduling these throughout the year. We think that Bobby and Montez played a huge role in getting this off the ground, and we will be forever grateful, but also at the same time, they will be constantly participatory because we want to watch and see how their lives unfold over time. I want to make sure they're in a better position as well. Do apologize for just the one lane conversation tonight, Montez, but I know exactly where you are. And exactly, been there, done that. I own that t-shirt printing company. When you find yourself in circumstances with people that won't hear you, then it's time for you to stop talking until they do. Not ask them for permission and say, why won't you let me speak? By mere virtue of saying that, it denotes a sense of giving your power and control away. And it's not their fault that they take your power, because you're giving it to them by speaking in that tone. No quid pro quos. When it's quid pro quo, it's over something you both can stand to lose or win. But when it's based on principle, there should never be a quid pro quo. Okay. All right. You didn't think I knew that one, did you? You didn't think I knew that one? But there you go.
No, I learned a lot about the workplace harassment during my studying, and I found a lot of stuff.
We have a program for that too at the workplace for norm therapy. We're working on rolling that out too as we get further funded in that for-profit side. So I look forward to talking with you more. Montez was a great talk to you. Went a little overtime. Everybody, thank you for your participation tonight, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks.
All right, you too. Have a good day.
You too, brother. And hey.
Yeah, I am.
There you go.
Okay.